What's up, buddy? Here's my trip to the RetroWorld Expo 2018 in Hartford, Connecticut.
RetroWorld Year 3.
While I've been on a nostalgic kick lately, while I was shopping at Retro Games Plus, I found a brochure for an expo nearby. I did a little research about what to bring to an expo, and the best advice that they had was to bring some snacks. Now, I've never been to a retro gaming expo before, but this one was really close by, so I figured why not. Hartford was only about a 20-minute drive, with traffic only being slightly on and off. Luckily, my van is too big for normal parking spots, so I got to park right near the entrance. The lines wasn't too bad because I was a little late. Here you get the program and a wristband to allow you inside. The convention center was far bigger than I expected. Nice touch with the Koopa Troopa. After walking around the convention center, it was hard to believe that this huge place was inside of it. The number one thing that I've heard about video game expos is it's a great place to find great prices on video games, and they have a lot of them. So many of them that there were bins everywhere I looked. There was also some old nostalgic PC games, but just not as many as I thought there would be. Man, in the old Intellivision, I had this when I was young. Wasn't as big as the Atari, but man, I had a lot of fun with it. And the classic Atari 2600. I think this is the Atari 5200 and the Sega Dreamcast. If I had the room, I'd be getting this. It had Windows CE in it, so it was probably the first console I ever had that can go online. I also had the Sega Saturn at one time, but I mostly used it to play fighting games. I've never had or played the GameCube, but someday I will have one, especially with this awesome color. I never heard much of the Vectrex, but I knew that it was a console and a monitor built into one. However, I thought all the games were built in, didn't know they had these large cartridges. I don't care what anybody says, the VirtualBoy was awesome. Not many games, but it was great. These little mini Pac-Man cabinets I never really wanted, but they are nostalgic, so I would like one now. They also had modded systems that you could buy here. And check out this PS1 with built-in screen. Cool. And a Commodore 64 still left in the box, or what's left of it. I can think of a few people that would love to have this Pikachu Nintendo 64. Hell, they'd probably fight for it. This is the iArcade cabinet, which I believe is used for old Apple devices that ran emulators, I believe. I do not know what this is, but it is made by Sears. And finally holding the old Game Boy, I had no idea how thick this thing was. There was a whole table of imports. A rare copy of Snatcher and some foreign and domestic controllers. Check out the Bomberman. What are these Sony things? The Sega Master System did not have the best looking carts, but it was a great system. They even had them in boxes. Man, nostalgic. My favorite art of the Atari 2600, Demon Attack. Great game. Found it in a box later on too. I've got to start collecting. Man, the packaging is unreal. Some rare old Tengen games for the NES. Now I love Donkey Kong, but somebody apparently also did, using an old 80s outliner to scribble in their name. I forgot all about the old Atari Lynx. Faded out pretty fast. Time for my Atari 2600 cartridge clunk. Specialized carts for the Nintendo 64 in color and this three-dimensional label for the Zelda game. Beautiful. I wanted this so bad for my Dreamcast, but they were so expensive when they came out. Well, this is one way to find joysticks, put them all in one bin. But $8 for this old dirty NES controller? Nah. The Odyssey was the very first console I ever wanted. I didn't know they came out with an Odyssey too. Must have not done well. Unusual keyboard. Now all of these items that I'm showing in the next few frames is from an auction table. I believe the auction was held the next day, but it had a lot of cool stuff on this table. Check it out. I just wanted to see what it felt like again. A figurine of a secret Mortal Kombat character, named after the creators of Mortal Kombat, Ed Boon and John Tobias. Figurines of Gears of War, my favorite Halo, and Batman. Is this for the PlayStation 4? Is it? It's awesome. Imagine the room that this Sonic Sega Genesis takes up. One of my favorite games of all time, Zelda. Now I believe this is a controller for the Xbox for a game called Steel Battalion. It must have been a very complicated game because it looks like there was a lot of buttons on this thing. I bet the game felt realistic though for a futuristic robot game. Intellivision again. I'm getting this back one day. I had forgotten which of the Dragon Warrior games I liked the most until I saw this box laying here. This game was awesome because you played with multiple characters and multiple timelines. It had a really great story. Battletoads, one of the hardest games, but yet one of my most favorite games of all time. And another Pac-Man handheld, but in much better condition. Oh man, is this thing hard to find. Didn't sell too well when it came out because it cost almost as much as a computer. Now besides just games, they also had toys and collectibles and posters and more. I used to love reading video game magazines, especially Electronic Gaming Monthly. Ocarinas, modeled after the ocarinas in Zelda's Ocarina of Time. Say that one more time. Of course, Pokemon cards. This little dude from Harry Potter is really weird. Now, there wasn't many, but there were some cosplayers there. Later on, they held a contest. The cosplayers at this show did a really good job. They really went all out. Well, this is one way to get rid of your old toys. Just throw them in a box and here you go. I love Voltron. I hope someday to be able to start a collection of these. This one wasn't exactly the one I was looking for. It doesn't disassemble, and it looks like it was just to be rolled around on the floor.
Hey, how you doing?
Now this is a good Voltron. This is a miniature version of the one that I really wanted, but I like this one too. All the lines separate and come back together to form this Voltron, and this particular toy does disassemble. They also had an area for board game enthusiasts. They had tables set up with multiple board games to pick from. If you don't know the game, This War of Mine, you don't know games. It is a very deep, hardcore video game, and to build a sophisticated board game based on it, that's amazing. It would probably take forever to learn, but it looks really good. This is cute. A card game based on a Nintendo theme. Even has expansion packs made to look like GameBoy boxes. I was into simulation board games when I was a kid, and those dice kind of became a luck charm for me, so I picked up a 20-sided die. More searching for my Electronic Gaming Monthly, and here I thought I found one, but it was the cover of one ripped off. Darn. Now they had this really cool Asian-themed kind of table on one of the corners. They had a lot of imported figurines and other things, including these really hard-to-find candies. Now I've been to Korea and Japan, and I can tell you, you're missing out on a lot if you don't try these things out. Now a lot of these baked goods that you find in packages out there actually still taste like they were just made. They're fantastic. Try them. This one was maple flavored. They also had a VR virtual reality area where you can play around with the VR headset, something I love very much, but I don't think it was open to the public. Maybe it was, I don't know, I didn't really hang around much. Lots of amazing fan art around here. But this stuff was beautiful. I really like this melted art right here. I meant to come back later and pick one up, but I forgot. One stand was for Dexter Morrel. He was the artist for the RetroWorld Expo. He did the art for the program cover. I checked out some of his art and it was beautiful, so I ordered myself a Battletoads piece that he signed himself. It was beautiful and I could not wait to get it home and hang it up. They also had game developers there showing off some of their unfinished projects. This one was for a game called Sentinel Zero, which isn't out until next year. I sat down and tried this game out. It had beautiful control and beautiful graphics. I think I'll definitely love this game and I will order it when it comes out. For now they have a few things to work on, such as animation, but otherwise beautiful. There's quite a few other developer tables too for you to try out. Now on to the guest stars. Here's one of the most famous wrestlers of all time, a Hall of Fame wrestler in the WWE, Bob Backlund. And from one of my favorite games, NBA Jam, Mr. Boom Shakalaka, Tim Kitzrow. And sitting next to him is Sal DeVita, a man who helped produce NBA Jam along with WWE All-Stars and other games. He was also the actor in the motion capture of Mortal Kombat 3's Nightwolf, Sector, Cyrax, and Smoke. And now for the actors of my favorite game, Mortal Kombat, is Rich DiVizio and Anthony Marquez. Marquez played Kung Lao in Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, and DiVizio played Kano in Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. He also played one of my other favorite characters, Bolaka. And while taking a picture for somebody while posing, I got a shot of Daniel Pesina, the guy who played my most favorite character, Johnny Cage. But he's also well known as playing Scorpio and Sub-Zero. Wished I could see him do that shadow kick. And while Sailor Moon was having a lively conversation with Johnny Cage, yeah, I got to have a nice talk with DiVizio. Turns out the guy's quite a tech head. He was really into my GoPro Hero 6, which he also owns. He was so into it they had to keep reminding him that they had to go and do another pose. I was just talking to Kano. It took a while to sink in that I was just talking to Kano. Felt like I was just talking to one of the guys. Now, onto the costume contest with Sailor Moon. Sorry if these zoomed in images are a little pixelized, but I didn't want to get too close to the stage. But these were some really great costumes.
Alright, do this. Yeah! Larry on from Pokemon!
This Pokemon Blast Lord really took the show. He was so powered up, he was even charging his phone on his back.
Finish him!
Finish him. Flawless victory.
They also had a lot of bands playing some music. RF Switch was my favorite, playing some of my favorite game songs, starting with Mario Brothers, Tetris, and one of my favorites, Zelda from the Ocarina of Time. Later on, they had a contest where they tried to beat the time to beat Double Dragon, the NES Classic.
I think you do, that's right, yeah.
They also had a console free play area filled with every console you can think of. I sat down and tried the PlayStation 4's Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Is it worth it? Oh hell yeah. This totally makes the whole series alive again. Now onto the area I couldn't wait for, the arcade free play. It was nice seeing the old arcade machines getting lines again. I got to play one of my old-time favorites, Final Fight from Capcom. Double Dragon, of course, from Date East. And R-Type, one of my most favorite shooters of all time, in which I base all my shooters on, from Irem. Can't go anywhere without playing a little bit of Pac-Man from Namco. Sadly, some of these machines took a beating from the crowds. One of my all-time favorites, Galaga, was unfortunately one of them. But I came back later and it was fixed. Yay! Well, actually, sort of, part of the screen was missing. And sadly, so was my favorite arcade cabinet of all time, Donkey Kong, which also oddly had this Donkey Kong 3 joystick for some reason. But I did come back later and some tech-savvy people got it up and running. I was happy. And the lines were surprisingly long for pinball. I had no idea it would get this much attention. After waiting for some time, I finally got to play around with some pinball. It was Dracula, not one of my favorites, but did have a great time. Now this VirtualBoy got a lot of use today considering all the negative feedback it got back in the day. Anyway, I don't care what other people say, I love it. Now, what was the most popular thing in the free play area? Pong. Pong. Can you believe it? However, it wasn't surprising considering they brought the old Pong to modern day by using modern technology by creating a physical play surface. This thing was so popular, I never got a chance to sit down and try it out. And man, did I love this area. If there is anything that brings back that nostalgic feeling, it's the old arcade machines. Now before leaving, I finally got a chance to sit down and try out this Vectrex. I wound up loving this thing and wanting to get one someday in the future. I forgot how fantastic vector graphics really were. Well, I was getting really tired and it was time for me to head home. Now, I had only planned to be here for a few hours and leaving around 3 p.m., but I wound up staying until almost closing time, a half hour before 7 o'clock. That's how fun this show is. When this show comes back in 2019, I highly recommend that you go. And I mean it when I say I highly recommend it. I was not in any way disappointed. I will be back for more because this show did fill my nostalgia craving. Thanks for watching and thanks for all the subscriptions. I'll see you in the next one.